Hi guys, this is an open message to Matt Hancock. Now I was reading an article by the BBC and they basically said that vaccines should be made mandatory for care home staff. Now not only am I a composer for independent film, run my own marketing business, but I also work as a full-time carer as well. So that is this is something which affects me on a personal level. Now I haven't had my vaccine and I don't intend on having a vaccine. However, I have served on the front lines during 3 outbreaks and throughout the entirety of this pandemic. I've been infected with the coronavirus and I have also spent about 10-11 days in bed coughing up grey jelly and having probably one of the worst times of my life. Now, I've kind of experienced the coronavirus firsthand, and it's not particularly pleasant. Now, we've had many steps that have been put in place to preserve the health and safety of residents within care homes in the United Kingdom, including people taking tests when they go in. Now, considering that none of the vaccines have got 100% effectiveness, and they certainly don't stop you from carrying the virus, so for example, you can be vaccinated, you can possibly be immune from the virus, but you can still carry the virus around with you, so they are not a reliable way of protecting people. So why would people be required to take a vaccine? I understand that it increases the safety levels and it reduces the chances of spreading, but we have already taken a large number of steps to ensure the safety of residents. Now, the fact of the matter is, there are a lot of people who can't take the vaccine for a variety of different reasons. Either they have medical reasons they can't take the vaccine, some people have got religious reasons that they cannot take the vaccine. I don't want to take a vaccine that I do not believe has been on the market for long enough for me to know whether or not it's safe. And considering that there are a number of different rules that have been put in place, which means that, wow, the electricity's really going crazy at the moment. There's a number of different rules that have been put in place that basically mean that, for example, if someone suffers really badly from a vaccine, then the medical company is not going to be liable, and that does worry me slightly. On top of this, a large number of vaccines are being withdrawn across the world because they are being deemed as very dangerous, and if they weren't deemed as dangerous, they would not be being withdrawn like this. And I do not think that it is a good thing to try and force people to take these vaccines. Another thing which is really annoying is when I've seen a lot of these videos of people being vaccinated, I've noticed that a lot of the people who are giving the vaccine are not wearing gloves. Now, one of the most important parts of PPE is you may not need the gloves to give the vaccine. However, when you penetrate the human body, bodily fluids come out. What if somebody has got a blood disease? What if somebody has got an infection going through their body and that comes out and gets on your skin? That can go into the next person. So you see, there's a lot of different things which are a little bit weird about this. Also, if we look at our local shops, the shops have been open throughout the entire pandemic, and I think that that's really weird, because the fact of the matter is, even when people are walking around, you can carry the stuff on your clothes, you can carry it with you wherever you go. There is nothing you can really do to stop the spread. And when you look, even by having people spaced out, when people are touching things within the store, with their hands, they're not wearing gloves, so you've got sweat, you've got all this other stuff which is coming off of people. It's just like there's not been very good steps put in place to actually, in terms of infection control, to make sure that people are safe. Alright, I mean, a little bit of hand sanitizer is not going to make a difference with COVID. Anybody who understands infection control is going to know this. It's like you've allowed people to go out with saying face covering. It's like cloth masks are really bad, especially worn over a long period of time. If you want to find out how bad a cloth mask is and you've got a cloth mask, what you need to do is just get one of them little water sprays and spray that and try breathing in. And you'll see how much water just comes through that cloth mask, and you don't get that with the other medical masks which you can get hold of. So the fact of the matter is, a lot of these procedures are not actually safe, and they are not actually helpful. So when it comes to actually dealing with this sort of thing, I don't think that the government's dealt with things very well at all. Okay, I really don't. I think they should have been, if we were going to do a lockdown, I think all the shops should have been locked down. They should have been basically supply chains sorted out to make sure that people were properly supplied with things. But everything's been extremely relaxed and lax. And the numbers of things are dropping, everything seems to be getting better, and now all of a sudden, out of the blue, mandatory vaccines for care home staff. well, I guess I'm going to have to go and find a different other job to do. But the problem is, I only do this job because I enjoy looking after people. I love working with the people that I work with. I enjoy helping them, and a lot of these people are my friends. But I am not going to be taking a vaccine. Not from you, not from anybody else. And I think, quite frankly, Matt Hancock, you are a muppet. The fact of the matter is, I'm really, really annoyed with the lack of care and consideration that the government has given to this. You've got government officials that have been going out and breaching all of these COVID regulations, and it's just absolutely ridiculous to expect people to basically have to go through a medical procedure that we don't know 100% is safe, right? To expect people to go through that is completely and totally unfair. So, because especially when there's no form of reprisal, it's like, take the vaccine or else you lose your job, or else you lose your livelihood. I don't think that's fair. I think that's reprehensible, and quite frankly, I think that the government's done a lousy job, and everybody in the care sector who knows anything about infection control, and believe me, we're all quite well trained up on it, we know that the things that the government has done and put in place to try and prevent the spread of coronavirus is pretty poor, alright? And frankly, considering the fact that we have these swab tests that we take before we go into a shift, and they tell us whether or not we've got the virus, I think that there are preventative measures in place that are good enough to keep everybody safe. Anyway, I'm really annoyed with the way that this has gone. I know that this is something which is very, very sort of widely spoken about by people, so if you've got an opinion on everything, please leave it in the comments below. I've worked on the front lines throughout this pandemic. I've not had the jab. I've been infected with COVID. So I've actually got antibodies in my body which will actively fight the virus, and after I was infected with it, I worked on 2 units where we had it. So the fact of the matter is, I'm trying to figure out, what is it about this vaccine that will make me so safe when I've already got antibodies? If anybody can give me that answer below, I'm happy to discuss it. I mean, I've heard several amazing stories of the way that the vaccine will help, and I'm perfectly happy to discuss this in the comments and discuss my reasons why I don't want the vaccine. Anyway, thank you ever so much for tuning in. I mean, it looks like I may be out of care job soon, but I think that if that's the case, I'm going to really miss it, because I really like working with people. But then again, what can you do under these circumstances? There's not really a lot you can do. So I'm just going to have to deal with things as they come. But I'm not happy with the situation. I think that the government has done a lousy job throughout the pandemic, and I think they should be thoroughly ashamed of themselves for trying to put this on care assistance. What about people who can't take it because of medical health conditions? What about people who can't take the vaccine because of because of religious reasons? I know quite a lot of people who've taken the vaccine because they've been in the care sector, and I know a lot of people who've taken the vaccine to protect themselves, and it's very interesting to note how a large amount of people that I know that have had the vaccine have gone downhill very rapidly, and some of these people are quite young. So the fact of the matter is, knowing people who are in this sector who are actually suffering with bizarro health conditions, which sometimes they would not have had before, I find that very, very peculiar. People who are suffering energy losses, feeling tired, feeling knackered, nauseous, all this other stuff. Quite frankly, I think that these vaccines have not been tested thoroughly to a point where they can be safe. And if there can be no criminal liability, nothing should be forced on anyone. I believe that this is a major breach of human rights in quite a few different areas. Anyway, I think that I've probably said enough. I'm very annoyed with this whole thing. And if you ever do watch this, Matt, you need to do a better job. You're doing a pretty poor job. The guy who came before you, much better at what he did. Anyway, catch you later. Bye bye.